students, due to incompetent facilities as well as opportunities in their own native areas, find the necessity for moving into alien cities to pursue the studies of a career. Pursuing studies or hunting for jobs in other cities opens a whole new can of worms. In their crusade, students often get trapped into dilemmas such as which college to study, which course to opt for, or will engineering do the best for them, or should they opt for commerce courses, and the list goes on. In all this chaos, many students end up studying in wrong colleges, schools, or leaving the idea altogether and returning back to their homes. Henceforth, at Lamstan, we connect students from from remote areas to mentors and professionals at global level.
So for today's session, we would like to welcome Ms. Sameena Massod. She's from Leh and studied till third standard at Moravian Mission School. And after that, she went to Hamdard Public School, where she spent 8 years. And she completed her 11th and 12th from Mount Carmel School. And she got graduated from Delhi University, Ramjas College. And then she finally enrolled herself in Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy, and which is in Uttar Pradesh. And she's currently working with Air Indian Express as a pilot. Hope you all take advantage of this session. And yes, I also want to mention that because of some technical issues, our session may end within 40 minutes. And if it happens, I request all the participants to kindly rejoin the session using the same link and password. Thank you.
Okay, so first we will be having the interactive session. Till then, all the aspirants are requested to mute their mics, and then after that, we will be having the question and answer session in which all the participants are requested to unmute themselves and come forward to ask questions, or else they can drop their questions in the chat box so we can pick up later on. Achille, now up to you.
Okay, hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum, Julie. I hope everyone's doing very well and spending good time with family at home. So today, as they have already introduced me, but I would still like to do it for myself. I'm Sameena Massod. I am 28 years of age and I'm currently working with Air India Express as a pilot. And so Air India Express, a small brief about my company. It's a South-based airline. So we usually fly from South to Middle East mostly. And it's most of the time it's international operations. We have only few domestic sectors that we operate. And so for me, as a first job as a pilot in an airline, getting a job in Air India Express was the biggest opportunity for me because it exposed me to exposed me on so many levels. That today I am a very confident professional because my company had given me so much of exposure. And okay, so about my personal information, I'll give you a little bit brief about it. We have a very small family who's based in Leh Ladakh. I have two siblings. Gone for flying. Right now she's in New Zealand and she's completing her flying. So hopefully, inshallah, we'll get to see a new pilot in town again soon. So yeah, that was again Lamstan had already briefed about my educational background, and I've also made a very short clip on it, and you guys might have seen it online. And if not, I'll tell you again. Till third standard, I was studying in Leh Ladakh in Moravian Mission School. Thereafter, I was sent to boarding school. My parents had sent me to boarding school that was Hamdard Public School, and I had quite 8 years, span of 8 years. I've learned many things from that school. I've made best of friends from that school, and that has made me a very confident person, and they have played a huge role basically in my life. And so after 10th, it so happened that I wanted to take science. And though I would just like to mention that, I was just an average student till 10th because I was third standard, I was sent to boarding school. So as a kid, I was very underconfident, and there were so many apprehensions that I used to face. But I was not that great at studying also. So it was, I think, after 8th standard when I actually, started taking my studies seriously. So 10th, I scored pretty good marks. Like I wasn't topper or at all, like, but I scored around 80 something, but still I wasn't up to the mark according to my school that I could take science. So there the problem started, and then I was like, I remember having this discussion with my dad, because I always wanted to be a pilot, and I knew that, for becoming a pilot, I need to take science. So I remember crying in front of my dad, telling him that I want to change the school because I'm not going to get science here, and this will just I'll not be able to live up to my dreams if I don't fight it right now. So that time it was kind of because as a growing kid, we all know that we wanted to be someone or somewhere as a kid. And most of the times our parents, our friends, our siblings, they don't take us very seriously. But I would also want like not as I'm addressing you all, I would also want, if a parent sees my this whole session, I want to tell them that please encourage your children to, and if they dream about being somewhere or being someone, then I really hope as a parent you support them well. So yeah, so after that I joined Mount Carmel School. There I got science as a background, and thereafter it started off as a journey. So coming from a family where I had no access to somebody who was immediate, basically immediate contact as an aviation person, so it was a bit of a struggle for me, honestly. But it wasn't like I did not have anybody, because again, a small story. So my father, he had worked in a small catering company at airport very long time back, when only Air India used to operate to Leh. So basically he saw aviation very closely, and he was quite fascinated by it. And he is one of the biggest aviation enthusiasts that I know personally, because he is somebody who talks so fondly about aviation. And when he talked to me about aviation, like it was, I think, first time I remember talking to my dad about it, that I wanted to become a pilot, and he was so supportive about it. And because he's seen that field so closely, and we all know that aviation is a glamorous industry. So yeah, parent support was one thing which kept me going for a very long time. Then okay, after joining Ramjas, so Ramjas was just by accident, by the way. So since I had nobody like immediate in aviation, so I was quite disoriented person, because I didn't know what to do, where to go, whom to approach, or how to go about it. Uh, Even though I just had this basic, dream that I wanted to be a pilot, but how to go about it, I had zero clue about it. So um, it was, uh, as I told you, my father, he was working at airport. So there he made quite few friends who used to visit Leh on and off with their families, because Leh is obviously a beautiful place. So that's how, like, my dad got in touch with one of the pilots who became his kind of a friend, and he guided us through the whole journey. Because he was not really a close friend, but obviously he could just give a bit of information. I was like little underconfident to even approach him on and off also. But initially, but the smartest thing that I feel that I did at that point of time, after passing out of Mount Carmel, was to graduate. Because a lot of pilots you will see in this field who are just 11th 12th 12th pass. So that makes them kind of the transition is very quick from being into school and to getting into a professional field. And the fact that you become a pilot in a span of 1.5 year or a 2 year at the max, which makes the transition much more rough. I mean, it would be a smoother transition if you go through a graduation, because you see that gradual change, you see the struggles of different kind of people, and you're exposed to such kind of a atmosphere where you're growing and learning every day. So that makes it you that altogether you grow as a person, when you go to a university. That's what I feel. And also it's a biggest backup for you, because aviation being such a risky sector, that you don't actually get there's no job guarantee. So if you are a graduate and if you are somebody who have studied in college, so that makes you more that gives you a lot many other options that you can pursue if you don't get into aviation. Okay, so 3 years at Ramjas was again very good, and there are a lot of things that I learned. But altogether, I was actually looking forward that when would I just begin my flying. So it was the final year when well, throughout this phase, actually, I researched a lot about aviation, how to get into it. I tried contacting different people, and started researching more about it, how to go about it. So there was this time. So basically, I'll get on to it how you guys should go about it, because now that you have me from your place, and I'm somebody who's really approachable, and I would love to help you guys with it. So okay, I'll get on this a little later. Okay. Considering, okay, after the Ramjas part, I had third year, I was actually giving my exams for Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy, which is in Raebareli, UP. So I got myself enrolled there. So there are basically, you just don't fill a form and get admission. And IGRUA being such a prestigious institution, it's a semi-government organization basically, and it's academy. So it's the best in India, for flying. And they have pretty good standards, and you just don't get into it so easily. You have to pass a written, then you have to pass an interview, then you have one skill test basically, and then finally you get into IGRUA. So I had gone through all that process during the third year of my college. I used to take break, and because most of my exams, all these written exams and interviews were in Raebareli and UP. So I remember traveling all the way from Delhi to Raebareli with my friend, who's a close friend now. And so yeah, so this was quite a journey, like on my own level, because yeah, my parents were supportive throughout, but it was me who was more inquisitive, and I put an effort to do that, because lot many times it seems like it's like far-fetched dream, but honestly, if you work towards it, I think everything is possible. So yeah, this that was about me. So now let's get into the fact that how and why pilot as a career. Okay, so there are a lot many things that attract people to this field. So first of all, obviously it's a glamorous world. It's a very attractive world. It looks as it looks from outside, and it is on so many levels basically. So there's a lot of money, money that you put in to get where you are today, and also the money that you earn. It's a very big driving factor for a lot of people to get into this field, because in such a short span of time, your training period is so because as there are so many fields like doctors, engineers, falana dinkana, so you have like so many options, but to get there, I mean, the process is quite long, and there's the struggle is quite long. But in this, yes, obviously there are a lot of risk factors, but the span of your struggle is little less. I mean, within period of 2 years, you get a license and you are, eligible to be in an airline, and you are eligible to be earning so much money. So yeah, money is one factor which is like a lot of people get driven by it. And okay, so thrill. So there are a lot of people who are out there seeking for adventure, and I'm sure aviation being such an industry where every day is different. Sometimes it's rainy, sometimes the sun is bright, sometimes there's a lot of dust storms, sometimes it's so windy. I mean, the variations are endless. Sometimes the runways are small, sometimes the runways are wider, long enough, good for you. I mean, so the variations are endless, and it only a good pilot would make it right. And that is the reason why the training process and the marks cut off and everything is very, very high. So yeah, the thrill part, as I discussed. And like I would just say, like, we operate from Kerala to, most of the time, Kerala to Middle East. So Middle East have lot many different climatology, talking about dust storms and everything. So we have to be prepared for those times. And that Kerala gets the worst of monsoons. So most of the time it's raining. The runway is not visible. There's so many things, and as a pilot, you have to be really quick to decide a lot many things at a point of time, that you get through this at the right way. And okay, fine. So thrill part I've already discussed. I don't want to prolong it too much. And okay, fine. Traveling around the world. Yeah, this is one more factor which people are attracted to. So yeah, I mean, being an airline, of course, you all know that we travel all around the world. Depending on the airline also, basically where all your airline operates. So if you're on wide body, so there are narrow body aircrafts and wide body aircrafts. Mostly narrow bodies are used for domestic sectors because the load is less, and their endurance basically to be in air is less. The smaller aircraft, because the fuel capacity and everything. So we'll not go deep into it. And wide body aircrafts are mostly meant for international flights. Because they are huge, they have a huge capacity to uh, for the passengers and the fuel and everything. So yeah, you go to lot many destinations, and it's a very attractive thing. So yeah, and so meeting new people from different cultures, this could be one more reason why people get attracted to this field. Because you meet a lot of people from different cultures, from different part of world. You get to see lot many traditions, and that's one thing why people are attracted to this field. And living a luxurious lifestyle, of course. Being a pilot, you are prone to stay in 5-star hotels. You are like, right away you get the your transportation ready. Every time in the flight, you are treated as a king or a queen. Like every now and then, your cabin crew or your set of colleagues keep asking you about tea, coffee. So yeah, a lot of hospitality, basically. So these are the small these are the following points that I've jotted down for you guys, so that this keeps you guys interested, and invite me to be in this field. Honestly, I think whole credit goes to my dad, because he was somebody, because as I told you earlier that he is basically a aviation enthusiast. And even if today also, if you talk to him about aviation, you can see the shine in his eyes that I think I saw, and I was quite driven by that. And staying near to the airport, I see in and off takeoffs and landing, and I used to always think, whether I'll be able to make it or not. So yeah, these were the things, small little things that have always crossed my mind. And so I think if it was not for my dad, then I would not be here, honestly. And but it's not only that. Obviously, all these factors that I had discussed earlier, the glamour world, money, and the uniform, basically, how attractive it looks. And, a lot of people get attracted to that side of it. So all this was always there. But then, it was, I think after joining IGRUA, I wanted to be a pilot so much more, because this field was so much interesting. I mean, there's so many things to learn about it. And basically, it is so interesting that, during the whole, our education system is such that we don't do so many practical things. We learn about certain things. In maths also, there are so many chapters, or there are so many things that we learn, and we always have a thought that, where are we going to use these things? Is this something that we're ever going to use it in our life or not? But aviation was nothing like it. Aviation was, I mean, everything in it has to do, practically in real scenario, real life. So that made it much more interesting, because I knew that, if I miss this part, I'm going to miss it on a very huge thing in my life. Be it studying about engines, be it studying about the airplane structure, or like small things. If you are somebody who is very well informed about the things that you're doing in life, like, if you are a pilot, if you know about the system of the aircraft, you know how to fly that plane beautifully, then, I mean, you are a different person at all. Like, you are somebody who's very confident and as a professional. So that made, I mean, that is a driving factor for a lot many people to be a better pilot. Because at the end of the day, your life is involved, and you are having such a response. But after coming to airline, I mean, not only your life, I mean, you're carrying so many lives on your shoulders. So basically, you have to be one who is a very responsible and a very mentally sound person. um, okay, so yeah, all these things. Yeah, IGRUA was again the kind of people I met there. All my friend circle. There were so many. There were so many people who were from a background who's like, somebody's father was a pilot, somebody's uncle was a pilot, somebody's brother, sister was a pilot. So everybody had somebody in their in this sector. But there were also people from background where there was like, aviation was just a dream. Like, I had some one of my batchmate. I remember his father was a farmer, and he was up there, and he used to be a very hardworking person. And I used to look at him, and I used to feel, people have been in this field from very, very different struggles. So I really hope, like, if you guys are someone who want to be in this field, and who are looking forward for it, so I'm sure you will make it. And okay, so I think I'm stretching it too much. So, okay, fine. Let's talk about the struggles, that I faced, in this journey. So as a schooling part, I told you getting science subject was a little bit of issue, which got resorted once I shifted to Mount Carmel. I had science, and then after that, okay, the first thing you have to know that you are medically fit or not for this line, because since so much of money is involved, so much of risk are involved, so you would want to make sure that you are medically fit or not. So yeah, if you can jot it down if you would like it, if you are somebody who are looking forward to be in this field, I think this is one of the most important criteria, that you should know that you are somebody who is fit for this profession. So medical has basically two things. There are two class of medicals. There's a class 2 medical and class 1 medical. Class 2 medical happens first. So there are a list of doctors which are on DGCA sites. DGCA is again a regulating body, Director General of Civil Aviation, which take care of all the regulations and safety of airlines, or flight operations basically. So at the end of the maybe session, we'll give you the link to DGCA site, and you guys can check that out. And there, I mean, there are a lot many sections in it. You can just explore it and get to know more about it. So medical fitness is one thing which is the most important thing. I would like to suggest you, all of you who would want to come into this field, that get yourself done with class 2 medical, with the appropriate list of doctors which are suggested by DGCA, which are there on site, and you will find it. um, then okay, to get your once you're done with medical, the best thing to do is to clear your papers. So basically what happens, like, I would just give a small example, like how CBSE conducts these exams, right? Like CBSE conducts our 10th boards and all that. So likewise DGC also conducts these exams. So you can apply for these exams separately. You don't have to be in any institute or any flying club, or should have any other background uh, to give these papers. Basically the eligibility criteria is just that you have to have physics, mathematics and English in your 11th 12th. So if you have that, you are eligible to give these exams basically. So I would first urge you guys to clear those exams, because it becomes half of your work is done when you are cleared with your exams. Then you're just left with flying. So flying is something that you can do anytime. Okay, so to give these exams, it's I'll talk about the subjects that you have to study, and hopefully we'll get this through right. So okay, let's talk about guarantee of the job. Okay, after whole I'll tell you how to go about it, but first let's just get to the deciding factor, that whether you would want to be in that position or not. I mean, we'll get through the process later, that how you have to go about it, but let's see, guarantee of the job, which is the most important thing. You would not want to spend so much money and so much of effort and so much of hard work, uh, knowing that you're not guaranteed a job after all. So yeah, there is no guarantee of job in this sector. Even if this is the risk that you're playing, it's just like a gamble, that you're just taking a chance with yourself. So, and looking at the current scenario, I know it's pretty bad because of the COVID situation all over the world. The hospitality sector has collapsed, and so many airlines have closed down. And in India also, like, the situation is pretty bad. I'll be very honest and practical about it. I'll not misguide you to something very beautiful, or of course it all depends on your luck as well, and how much hardworking you are. But honestly, at the present scenario, it is not looking good. So yeah, so the lot of investment is involved in this sector. And as I told you about the job guarantee part, job guarantee is not there even if you are, like, if you get the job also, and if you're not medically fit basically. So that again, that whole license, so much money and effort, again it goes to zero. Because even after getting a job, after working for a year, for a few years, and if you get medically unfit, that license is of zero value. I mean, it's of no value. At least if you get graduated, you get that degree, you have so many other options for yourself. But then taking care of yourself, taking care of your fitness, about your health, that is all up to you, in your hand. So yeah, the part that I want to emphasize over here is, like, before coming into this field, I want you all to assess your risk factors, like especially when you talk about the financial stress that you're going to face. It's going to be immense, and I'll say that loud. And you have to think about it very clearly. If you're somebody who is wealthy enough and come from a rich family, most welcome. It's very easy. It's the best job that you can best field that you can be in. And if you can take that risk, I mean, nothing better than that. Financial investments can lead you into a very bad situation, which I would not want for anybody actually, because it's a very bad thing, you know, after taking so much loan and, you know, getting into this field with so much struggle and hard work and not getting a job for so many years. Because I've personally known people who have sat at home like for 5-6 years to get that job. And current scenario is no big joke, you know. It's going worse day by day. But I don't want to demotivate you guys. If you are someone who is passionate about this field, I mean, I will not stop you any day, you know. Okay, so I had spoken about this, like having a backup option is always good. Like, you know, graduate yourself, do your masters as well if you want, and you know, it will open a lot many options for you till the time this sector gets, you know, bloom. So yeah, that was it. So okay, now let's talk about criteria to be in this profession, to get into this profession. So yeah, basically, if I talk about the age factor, you just have to be 18 above, which I'm sure, like, you know, by this time only we kind of decide what we want to become in our lives, or, you know, how, what field that we want to choose. So 18 years of age, which is quite apt. And for different countries, it may be a different situation, but for India, it is 18 years to actually obtain those licenses and to operate on those airplanes. Second thing is having science background. Science background, basically in 11th, 12th, you have to have maths, English, and physics. These are the most important subjects that you have. And, you know, you will be dealing with it on and off during the operations. So, okay, and there are a lot of people who come who have already cleared their 12th, and they now realize that I want to be a pilot. So, I mean, do not get disheartened by this fact. You can still be a pilot. You can apply through these IGNU and all these private both. I mean, you can just separately apply for these subjects on the board, and you can clear these exams, and then you can still be a pilot. But that would be obviously a longer process, and you'll need a lot of determination. That's a different story altogether. Science background, again, I talked about it. So yeah, medical. So before getting into the field, medical is the must. Class 2 medical is done first, and it is done with the list of authorized doctors, which is given on DGCA side. Again, I've mentioned this. And thereafter, once you clear the class 2 medical, then you have to be done with class 1 medical, which is more rigorous one. They check you throughout, like from head to toe, like, you know, thoroughly, that you are fit for this profession or not. So most of the times, these class 1 medicals are conducted by Air Force, in Air Force. But as we see that, you know, a lot of aviation aspirants are increasing day by day. So I think DGCA have authorized few other private doctors as well who can conduct the class 1 medicals as well, which is already there on DGCA side, and you guys can have access to that through the link that will be shared later on part of the session. So a lot many times there are so many people who keep asking the question that, you know, I'm having spectacles, my eyesight is not you know, can I still be a pilot? And the good news is, of course, you can be a pilot with the spectacles, but the only criteria is that, you know, the after correction, your eyesight should be 6/6. So that's pretty much about it. And, you know, there are a lot of people who are so passionate about this field. I've seen people getting the surgery as well, you know. And there are things that, you know, you shouldn't be colorblind, and so all this. But with spectacles, yes, you can fly. There's no doubt about it. So once you're done with medical, and once you are, you know, you have cleared that medical part, then now you can think about clearing your exams. But this is my suggestion. See, for me, it did not happen that way. It's like, even though I cleared my medical and went to IGRUA, but IGRUA is a academy in itself, you know. It's a full time academy. Like, it will take care of each and everything, your documentation, your, you know, in fact, there were people out there in IGRUA who had not done medical and come there. So basically they had come there, and without medical had no clue at all, like, so IGRUA even helped them to get the medicals done. So yeah, if you are somebody who have joined IGRUA, then I mean nothing like it. They will take care of each and everything, your licensing part, the documentation, your medicals and your exams, everything. For me it happened so that I had cleared my medicals and then gone to IGRUA, joined IGRUA. So after joining IGRUA, I mean, there are ground classes that happens. Ground classes is basically they will teach you the subjects theoretically on ground. Like, they will have classes. There's no flying part here. I mean, there's no practicality in it, but just information about flying, what's done in systems, about the navigation aids and everything. So yeah, these are the I mean, this is the process that you go through. First you have the ground schooling, and then thereafter you get to flying part. So basically you can do either ways. Like, there are a lot of people who enroll themselves into flying school and then side by side clear the exams and they're flying, which is little stressful in a sense that flying itself is a very something that takes away lot many effort, and your you know too much of you have to put in your 100% basically initially, of course, like a lot more. So at that point of time, you don't need any kind of a stress. And if you don't clear your papers along with the flying, then what happens is your flying hours gets lapsed, and then again you have to spend much more money for your flying. So the best thing that you can do is um, you can just complete your exams and then get to flying. And just a moment. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so enrollment in flying school is okay. That I'll discuss. So enrollment in flying school, as I told you, that you should clear your exams before you joining your flying academy. So I did it from IGRO. I'll talk about in the later part of the session that what all flying schools are there in India, and so there are two. There's a decision that you have to make here, that you want to do flying from India or you want to do flying from abroad. I'm somebody who has done flying from India, and and my sister who is flying in New Zealand right now, so she's done it from abroad. So I've seen both the ways how it goes. So I can brief you about it because it's my first-hand experience from IGROA. So IGROA has been a academy which had taken care of everything basically. But flying from abroad, but obviously there are things like pros and cons of again flying from India and abroad. India, usually it's said that it's take longer period of time, and it does, because of our weather systems, our weather patterns. Like during the winters there's a prolonged time when we have the fog, fog sets in, and then you cannot fly because you need for training flights basically you need at least 5 kilometers of visibility. And if you don't have it, the flying doesn't happen, and you waste a lot of time there. And when you're invested in this field, you have invested money and yourself, you would want that you want that your flying should be done as soon as possible and you get through it in the right time. So I personally took more than 1.5 year to complete my flying from India, even though I was somebody who was very hardworking. And in IGROA, I had even good scores, and I was somebody who was first in our batch to start flying and everything. So after all that also, I took approximately 1.5 year. So yeah, and India, there are again, there are a lot many schools which I'll tell you very clearly that they do a lot of overlogging. Like you will not fly basically, but they will log the hours and just to complete the criteria, which is not a very great thing. But IGROA has a different standard and altogether. We did like 100 solo hours, like pure solo hours, like they were actually done by us, and we logged what we flew. So yeah, that pace, standards are pretty much higher in IGROA. And so all these things, yeah. Flying from abroad, again, in you're flying from abroad, but the cost factor will vary from place to place. There are flying schools in US, South Africa, Canada, then New Zealand, Australia. All these places, give you they have many flying schools, and they have the set of DGCA regulations as well. According to the syllabus, they follow the whole syllabus and get you done with the flying and the documentation work as well. You can do that depending on your requirement or your financial status. So yeah, again, when I talk about flying, when I talked about clearing your papers, so there are subjects that we study, and we have DGC exams for, we have like subjects like meteorology, where we study about weather system, climatology of India, about about the whole world, the process, the how thunderstorms and everything works, or what are the air pockets and everything. Then there's a technical part in which we study about the airframe of the system, engines, how do engine works, how do piston engine works, how do this jet engine works, turboprop works. So there are different kind of technical things that we study about. Then there are regulation. Then the third subject is regulations. Regulations basically teaches you the rules and regulations of the airspace that you follow, not only in India but all over the world. Aviation as such has a very same standards all over the world. So that if today I've done training in India, it doesn't happen that somebody who is trained in US will have a different notion of aviation or a different set of rules. Almost these standards are these rules and regulations are pretty much standard, and that's why that's one reason why the whole aviation field or people or the rules or regulations are in sync with each other. And the RTR, the then there comes a subject is navigation. So navigation is a subject in which you learn about the navaids, basically the aids that help you to fly the machine, or to land, or basically you know help you with the whole operations. Then radio aids. Radio aids is the equipments that are in the aircraft, the systems that are in the aircraft, the radio telephony, how you are conversing with the ATC, and in general with the other pilots in the airspace. That talks about radio telephony, and so all these are the subjects that you study about. And then there's another subject that is known as RTR, that is radio telephony again, in which what happens is how you talk to ATC. These call outs are pretty much standard how you talk. I mean, you cannot just say anything in the airspace. So all the people all over the world use same phraseology to converse with each other. So these are the basically subjects that you study while you are in this field. But the good part is that if you do your flying from, so these are the exams basically that you have to clear, and these are the DGC exams. These 5-6 subjects that you have to clear to get your license. And if you fly from abroad, there's a subject that you don't have to give. Basically, technical you don't have to give. So you are just left with navigation, metrology, and regulations. These are the 3 subjects that you give, and you're pretty much done with it. But it's not that you don't study about the other subjects. Of course, you have to study about the technical to fly the aircraft. But the rule part says that you don't have to give the exams, 2 exams that if you're doing it from abroad. And once you are done with flying from abroad, you come back to India, you get your license converted to Indian license, then only you are eligible to apply for an airline, because most of the airline, they come up with the criteria of CPL, Indian CPL holder. So yeah, talking about DGCA again, I've already briefed you guys about it. DGCA is a regulating body, and basically looks after our safety of the flight operations, and they take care about our medical flight operations, our licensing and everything. So basically it's like a CBSE board, which takes care of the education system. Likewise, DGC takes care about the aviation. So yeah, as I talked about the financial status, that you have to take care. So I want to give you a very clear picture that how much money is involved in it. So basically, at the current moment, if you go for flying, you would require around 30 to 40 lakhs. And clearly, so you can say on an average, 35 lakhs to 40 lakhs you will require to have your CPL, because obviously this aviation is very costly, because the price is because the fuel is involved, and you're flying, and it's not something which comes very easy to lot many people. So I'll also tell you how to go about managing your finances. So your cost of flying would about take for 35 to 40 lakhs. Okay, no, I mean just saying it straight away. Then that would not include your it depends on the place that you do. Like India, I did from Igrua, and accommodation was taken care of. Tickets, obviously there's nothing, because I'm doing it in India and everything. But if you're somebody who want to do it from abroad, uh, your whole this package might involve accommodation, might not involve accommodation. Then the ticket part is not involved, the visa part is not involved, and how amount of times you want to come back to India or meet your family, all that part is not catered for. So yeah, on and off, like on an average, flying from abroad can cost you much more. Then all this, obviously after spending so much on flying, CPL, also the story doesn't end here. That is the sad part. There are many airlines. Most of the airlines actually are looking for professionals who have done type rating. So type rating is a new term again. Type rating is basically a training for you, training done, uh, for you to fly in an airline, the big jets basically. While you're doing your training, you do it on a small aircraft like Cessna aircrafts. Cessna or Zlin 242L or DA40. These are the small aircrafts, single engine aircrafts, basically piston engines that you fly for training. So that very less times that airlines would come up with an vacancy for CPL holders, just CPL holders. But if you're somebody who has done CPL and then gone for type rating, and you're a type rated pilot, basically all this training for big jet airlines takes place in simulators. And once you are done with number of sessions that are stated by DGCA, and once you are type rated, and once you have that stamp on your CPL that you are type rated on certain aircraft, like for example, we in India have Boeing and Airbus, two categories. So we have different aircrafts. Like most of the basic aircrafts are A320s and Boeing 737. So once you are done with your CPL, you can get done with type rating, and type rating again costs a lot of money. So again, on an average, 15 to 20 lakhs, you can just close your eyes, and you have to manage for that as well. So cost of training is another. So that comes down to again 60 lakhs. So we are involving a lot of money in it, as you can see. And 60 lakhs is, I'm just saying on in vague terms, but when you will be spending, there'll be a lot of stress among your parents, and there'll be a lot of stress among your family when if you don't get a job. So think very, very clearly about it before getting into it. So type rating is something earlier, all these airlines used to cater for it. Like they would give you a job and they would take care about the type rating part. But over the period of years, it happens so that, company would do the type rating for you, and then you leave the company and join another company. So that was a big loss for company. So then the companies have started coming up with the fact that, you do your type rating and then get a job. So this is how to go about it. So okay, let's talk about how do you get this money. So first of all, I've just jotted out a few points, like if you're somebody who's very rich or coming from a very wealthy family, you're most welcome, and you're very lucky enough. And I think this is the best thing that you can do for yourself: get into aviation if you're interested and if you're passionate about it. That was the easiest and most viable option. Secondly is you can take an education loan. I mean, you'll have to keep something as a collateral, like, your land or your jewelry or anything like it. So that is, again, you can take a personal loan, you can take an educational loan. There are banks who give almost 100% scholarship also, but there are banks who give only a certain percentile. So yeah, getting the loan is again on your head, like, you have to deal with it. And okay, so there's a third way, which is the very longest and the more tiring way. That is, and believe me, like a lot of people do it. No biggie for it, because in our nation, I mean, airlines actually, when they come up with a vacancy, they can take you up to 35 years. They deal with lot many people joining the airline. So you have to do that if you want. So somebody who comes from engineering background, or somebody MBBS, or somebody who is passionate about flying, and I have known people who come from those backgrounds and are today in airline business, and are pilots. So what you can do is get done with your graduation, post graduation, whatnot, and get into some field and start earning money, and then keep saving that money for your aviation, for this field. um, because it's a tiring process, because it's a long process, you might get demotivated in between and start accepting what it is. But uh, but lot many people are very inquisitive, and they see it as something that they want to do it life, and they're very passionate about it, so they get it done. So yeah, what you can do is, like, get yourself a job, start earning, and start saving that money, and you can use it later for the aviation part. There are a lot of people who do it, yeah, side by side. They're working as a professional in some industry and earning money, and then they're doing their flying also. And it so happens that in other countries like New Zealand, I've been to New Zealand recently, I've seen my sister flying from there, and there were a lot many people who used to be like working in different industries and earning, and and getting their flying done. So you can do that as well, if you don't want to go for loan, or you want to use your dad's money. So, okay, let's talk about how I got into, like, how I arranged my money. So, mashallah, I was very, very lucky that I got 100% scholarship. So, I'll talk about scholarships. So, there are scholarships that are given by central government, there are scholarships that are given by state government, and there are a lot many companies which come up with scholarship. Like, for example, very recently, this Hero Honda company come up with some 10 scholarships for girls. So things like this, they come on and off, and if you're lucky enough and if you are eligible enough, I mean, that's the best thing. In my case, initially what happened, I had no scholarship. I was mm, I enrolled myself. I had even given the first installment of my money. But later on, what happened that according to the merit list, I had performed pretty well in my written and interview, and my scores were high. And these scholarships are basically for ST, SC, and OBC people. So, not many times, and we all as Ladakhis, we have ST. So you can take that advantage, and if there be a opportunity, I mean, you should grab it as soon as possible. So yeah, that was the thing about me. Yeah, I was very lucky enough that when I enrolled myself, I got to know about the scholarship, and I had researched more about it, and then I was onto it, and I had actually I had to run many times for it, but it was in the end worth it. I mean, what's the best thing that I could have done for myself. Um, so the scholarship part I've already talked. Okay, like after your CPL thing also, you might get a scholarship for your CPL basically, but then for your type rating, you again have to jot that, you have to collect that money, save that money to do your type rating. But for type rating, it gets much more easier, because when you have a job, like when airline gives you a job, they'll make you sign a contract. And once you have signed a contract, it's a very easy way. I mean, because since there is a guaranteed job, you get the loan very easily, and
once you get the loan, you can pay them back very easily. I mean, so that is the thing. But the criteria is only the fact that you find a job. Okay. And there are many cases where airline also helps you getting a loan. There are like airlines like SpiceJet. I know personally, I have some colleagues there who happens to tell me that they SpiceJet only help them to get the typewriting done or the whole this loan thing done. So there are and there are airlines like Air India which gives you the training for typewriting. There's a big institution in Hyderabad where they get you typewriter, but you have to sign a contract with them that you can deduct that training cost from their salary. So if you have signed a contract of like supposedly 5 years, so around 2 or 3 years they'll keep deducting the cost of training from your salary, and you'll be you'll be paid less basically. So which is a viable option. A lot of people go for it because initially they can't arrange for so much money. So yeah, you might as well get a job, and you might get paid for less time, and then afterwards it just get normalizes. I mean, there's pretty much no stress about it. What happened to me in my case was like I said, I had been lucky enough from the beginning itself. I got scholarship. I did my flying at a pretty much good time. And as I passed out of Goa, I mean, soon just after I passed out, I had applied for my license from BMC, and I got my license on time. And soon as I got my license, Air India came with a vacancy for campus placement in Goa. And Air India Express, basically. Air India Express also had a vacancy, and Air India also had a vacancy that time. But I was pretty much sure in my head that I wanted to be in Air India, and Air India was a dream job for a lot many people. I mean, as a kid, I always wanted either to be in Jet Airways or Air India, but these are the two airlines that I'd always dreamt of working with. So yeah, uh, Air India Express came with the first vacancy, and I was like, okay, let's just give it the try. But I'm not really sure whether I want to be in Air India Express or not. I wanted to be in Air India, but Air India Express is also a subsidiary company of Air India only. It's basically Air India only, but then Air India Express is a smaller company. So when I got I cleared my interview, my sim session, my whole written exam and everything, and I got my job. So Air India then had a criteria that if you are applying for Air Express, then you cannot apply for Air India. So that was a point which because Air India Express came first for the vacancy and the campus induction. So because it was a campus induction, so I had less competition, honestly, because it wasn't out there in market. Because if the vacancy comes in the market, everybody can apply. Like people who has done flying from abroad or India or anywhere else, the competition is much more bigger. But coming to campus placements, obviously the competition is less. But competing with people who are the best among the country, because IGROA itself is the best institute. So that was the difficult part. But I luckily, cleared all the exams, and I got through, and I got my job within a year, within a span of 1 month. Just I did not have to spend any time at home at all, like before getting job. So Alhamdulillah, I'm really, really lucky in that case. I just feel I'm very, very happy, lucky. So that was the thing about typewriting, yeah. And I've already discussed all these subjects with you. Okay, let's just give you the, you know, brief about. Okay, how do you prepare yourself mentally for becoming an airline pilot? See, I'll tell you, it all starts with a small dream, but it all depends on you, that how much you want to live that dream, so pretty much I would want to stipulate some points where I want you guys to prepare yourself for this industry if you're looking forward. So you have to live a life in a suitcase, basically. You cannot be where you want. And, pretty much you are carrying a suitcase here and there and you're living your life in that small box. Uh, so because, your schedules are like that. Today you're here, tomorrow you'll be in, like, if you talk about India, I was there in Delhi yesterday. I'm here in Trivandrum today in Kerala. So, you never know where you will be in few days, You'll be here and there all over the place. So you pretty much carry your suitcase everywhere and you'll have a set of things. And there are times so happen that, I don't even change things in my suitcase. I just carry a set of things that I know that I would want on those layovers, and that's about it. So yeah, there's one thing. If you're young and you are somebody who enjoys different cultures, different making new friends, meeting a lot of new people. Um, this is the field for you, but again, with time your priorities change and you become a different person at all. I'm somebody who's very close to family and would love to spend a lot of time with my family, but then it so happens that you cannot all the time do that. So you have to find your middle grounds to do that. And for me it works very well, because winter time, as we all know, that our parents and everybody, most of the time they shift to Delhi, Jammu, Srinagar, Chandigarh, all those places. So my parents, they come to Delhi. For me it becomes very easy, and Delhi is my base basically, so I'll be flying in and on, like on and off from Delhi, so I get to meet them, spend a lot of time with them, so it's good. So yeah, um, I mean, brace for impact that you'd be having a lot many friends from different places, and it would be helpful for you basically. So, and the good part is that while you are on those layovers, everything is taken care of by the company. Like you'll be staying in 5-star hotels, your laundry is taken care of, your transport is taken care of, and the best part is that most of the time you'll be the days that you'll not be sleeping on your bed, you'll be getting paid for it. You are having layover allowances basically, in which that money is for the period that you spend away from home, and you have to, you can spend it, you can save it, it's on you basically. So, and that layover allowance is also pretty good. I mean, it's not that it's not something that it's not a small thing. I mean, you can save it, it's as much as that. uh, Okay, and on those layovers, if you are lucky enough, you'll get a good set of crew, and you'll meet, you'll have a good people around you on those. And most of the time, it happens so that uh, we at Everyday Express, we have a lot of flights from Dubai, so Dubai becomes our base for a while. So within a span of 1 or 2 months, on and off, we are sent to Dubai for posting, like for 10-15 days. So if you're lucky enough, you'll have your batchmates or a good set of crew who you can chill with. So it's a good life basically. But again, it depends on your priorities. Like you as a person who is a family person, or somebody who always wants to stay out. So yeah, the decisions are up to you to make. And yeah, while you are on these layovers, obviously, since you're staying in 5-star hotels, you have a lot many time in your hand. You can utilize it for your own good, or you can just fill it. So yeah, you have money, you have a good place to stay, you have a lot of time in hand, and what else? That makes this profession more uh, attractive, or somebody like everybody basically wants dreams of being in this profession, sometime of their life. So it's up to you. You have to maintain a very healthy lifestyle for yourself. You can do regular gymming. There's a lot of, like, not many hotels have swimming pool option. At this point of time, of course, there's nothing like that. But yeah, you as a responsible person, professional, you have to take care of your body, because as I told you in the beginning, if you're not medically fit, your license is of zero value. So yeah, again, there's one thing that I want to mention. As I said that, any time of your, because obviously this is a big concern, like if I'm spending so much of money and effort into it, and I would, in tomorrow, unfortunately, if I become unfit for this profession medically, what will I do? Like, there's so much of investment. How will I come out of it? This is something very important thing to think about. So again, there's these companies, insurance companies, which come up with these premiums that you can apply for. You can pay those premiums, and if you get medically grounded, if you get medically unfit, so these insurance
Excuse me,
companies
sorry
are
for
going to pay
interruption,
you
Achille.
a certain amount, like huge amount as recovery. So for that, you have to actually enroll yourself with those
Excuse
insurance
me.
companies. Like Bajaj, for that matter, gives you those kind of facility, where you can claim that money. Like, I mean, the premium is also very minimal, like 6 to
Excuse me, can you
7,000,
hear
and
me?
then like once a year you have to pay, and then while you claim it, it's in crores. So you can make another investment and start a new life there. So that's pretty much about it. Now coming to DGC exams, again, I already told you guys that DGC exams, these
Excuse
are the
me, sorry
subjects
to
that you have to
interrupt,
clear.
Achille. Hello.
So we'll talk about licenses basically. So licenses there are these licenses which are issued by DGCA, which you'll have to carry all the time while you're flying, and these are very important licenses. These exams that I told you are conducted by CEO, that is Central Examination Organization, which is there in I think Arkipuram. DGCA, it's a part of DGCA only. So these uh, organizations conduct the exams. These are conducted 4 times in a year. And within a span of 4 months, we conduct these exams. So you have to actually prepare, like if you're prepared and you have to give these exams, and you can, I mean, you can apply it online and then clear these exams in the span of 2-3 months. Like it's better that if you clear it in one go.
Achille,
I
excuse
mean,
me, please.
but the thing is that with these exams, you cannot be like you're getting 45 percentage or FRTUL. FRTUL is your flight radio telephony operator license. That is a requirement for you to operate those equipments on board. This looks pretty much like this FRTUL, which is issued by DGCA, and then you can start off with your flying. So but those things are basically taken care of by the flying school itself. And after you're done with 200 hours of your flying, 200 hours is the requirement that is given by the Indian regulatory body for you to obtain, commercial pilot license. Uh, you can have your CPL after 200 hours, and once you are cleared with all these examinations. And okay, I missed out talking about cadet programs. If you are somebody who have a lot of money, but also would want to be sure about the fact that you get a job no matter what, then there are these companies like Indigo, SpiceJet, AirAsia. They come up with cadet programs, pilot cadet programs, in which they charge you a very huge amount, but then at the end of the whole training process, they guarantee you with a job as well. So these have some of the eligibility criterias like 50-60 percentile of marks in 11th 12th, and your exams should be cleared and everything. And then they get you training for your flight training, like flying CPL, and then also they get you done with your type rating. And once you are done with that, and once whenever the vacancy comes, they will induct you in their company. Also they give you a stipend amount of a very minimal, like 15 to 20,000 or 30,000 they'll give you till the time you have that job. But again, I would like to draw your attention to the part that how much money that you have to spend. I mean, these cadet programs are very, very costly. They can like how much I said, like earlier, 60 to 65 lakhs is just the normal way if you go. So if you go for these cadet programs, you will have to invest almost 1 crore. That is 1 crore investment is involved in this cadet programs. So yeah, it's not an easy thing at the end of the day. So yeah, India, again, I've talked about.
And if you have an opportunity to fly in these institutes or whenever you go flying, I would always recommend you guys to go for glass cockpit. There are a lot many aircrafts which are there in India and with the flying schools which have only analog cockpit. Analog, earlier people used to fly. It's a thrill, it's a new learning experience and all that. But nowadays, you know that the technologies are so advanced. If you don't have a glass cockpit, you will have issues when you go for your simulated check in airline and all these things. So it's better, you grow with the times, and you can catch up with the technologies, and glass cockpit is something which is a new aviation thing. So yeah. So while you are in flying school, as I told you, there are a lot many flying schools in India, IGRUA being the best and the foremost. Then there is Chimes Aviation, then there's a aviation academy in Indore. Then there's Gati, which is there in Bhubaneswar. There's a flying club in Aligarh as well, and Gondia. There's one more flying club. So Gondia is NFTI, if I'm not wrong. So all these are the flying schools. They have their own criteria, their own pros and cons. So you can research about them more, and you. If you need any help regarding ICRO or anything, I'm always available. And hopefully we'll in future also, if you guys need any help, I'll be there. So while after enrolling into flying school, you will have to do day and night flights, and there are instrument hours that you do, like with the zero visibility. Then there are DGCA requirements, that you will have to comply with. And and of course there's lot many waiting period and for your license to get your license and everything. So yeah, this was the whole thing. At the end of this talk show or whatever session, I would draw your attention to the fact that this is a profession, I'll be honest, that you'll require a lot of courage, you'll require a lot of willpower. There's a lot of responsibilities involved, and you have to no matter what, believe in yourself throughout the process. And you will be dealing with lot many struggles at every point in time. You'll have to prove your worth and your skill to everyone, because this is a small industry. Everybody looks up to everybody have an opinion about everybody. So basically you have to be the best of best. And though opinions doesn't matter at all, but then what matters is that you do your thing the right way, and you'll enjoy it more if you do it the right way. So yeah, I mean, this is no undoubtedly a very attractive field. And you have to take care of your health. Everything is well provided with, but to get here, I mean, I would just say that it's easy to others or to be a successful person, but to maintain that pinnacle, to be there, and to keep that shine, I think it takes much more effort, and the struggle is endless. And so I would really wish and all the best to all of you who are watching me over here. And if you need any help, I'm always there, and I'll always try to help you as much as I can. So yeah,
Okay.
if you guys have any questions or any queries, please let me know, and hopefully I should be able to solve them.
Thank you so very much, Alif, for such a detailed explanation and guidance. I think that you most of the answers of our participants. But still, if any participants have any questions regarding the interactive sessions or on this career, you can unmute yourself, or else you can drop your questions in the chat box. So in earlier session, we got two questions from our participants. One was Tanzin Angmo. She was asking that, is type rating necessary?
Okay, so type rating, as I've already discussed, but type rating, if you have to work in an airline, it is important. So any aircraft that you fly, you have to get your license endorsed on that aircraft. So basically, when you're doing your training flights, you are flying piston engine aircrafts. These are the small aircrafts, these are the only license that you need to fly for a small aircraft is the CPL. If supposedly there are a lot of people after getting the CPL, if there's no job in airlines, they go for flight instructor job. So in that case, you don't need a type rating. You already have a CPL. You're endorsed. Your CPL is endorsed with that aircraft training. So you can work as a flight instructor, and you don't need. But when it comes to job in airline, of course, you need a type rating, and that type rating depends on the company that you're working with, or the company that you're looking forward to work with. Basically, like Jet Airways had 737s. For example, if you want to join Express have all the fleet is 737. So you can get your type rating done on 737 and wait for Express to come up with a job vacancy. But honestly, Indian market is all about Airbus right now. I think only SpiceJet and Express has 737. Rest all the companies like Air India and Go Air, Air Asia, everybody's using Airbus. So the most safest option people go for type rating is like Airbus 320s. And once you are done type rating with 320, and you are eligible for, so basically you can just do your CPL also. And if you can't afford type rating, there are times that, like Air India came up with the CPL vacancy. So, but that vacancy comes very less times, very fewer times company would come up with the vacancy for CPL holders, because they are looking for professionals who are type rated, because the company wants to save money on type rating, save money and time and energy basically. So they are looking for professionals who are already trained, who are already, type rated. So that makes you little, more, you're given more upper hand if you do type rating basically. So I hope I've answered it right.
Okay, so we've got another question in the previous session by Dorje, asking you to elaborate about class 2 medical.
Oh, class 2 medicals are nothing it's not that rigorous medical session. I mean, they'll just take obviously this eyesight, your hearing part, your height, weight, and basic things, then I think your ECG or something. But class 1 medical is more rigorous. Class 1 medical, they will be like, because the Air Force stations conducted, so it's more rigorous, and they actually, there are a lot many times you are, just not selected on, or you don't clear your medicals. Class 1 medical is very stringent. Class 2 medicals are more or less also conducted by private doctors, which are authorized by DGCA. So on and off, they are very lenient also, honestly. They don't look much, but you have to pay them much to get your medicals cleared. So that's it. That's pretty much about class 2 medicals. Nothing so big or, important.
Okay, I hope you got the answer. So we have more questions in the chat box. One is from Muhammad Ibrahim, asking,
Okay.
is there any particular entrance exam to become a pilot?
Entrance exam, as I told you, the exams that are conducted by the DGCA that you have to clear, that is like the board exams that you have to clear. Like, and then to enroll yourself into a flight academy, another set of exams that you have to give according to the flight academy requirements. And lastly, airline, when you pass that all, again when you come to airline will have a different process, and airline have a different take all together your exams and your viva, your interview and everything. So at every stage you have to give interviews, you have to study and pass all the exams to get where, as an airline pilot, you will have that struggle is going to be long. You have to have that courage or determination to get through the process. Is there any more questions?
Yeah, one is from another question from Stanzin Nangmo. How is the placement scenario at IGRUA?
Placement scenarios at IGRUA, honestly, when I got placed, it was after a span of 10 years that Air India was coming to IGRUA for placement. Because it's always been a controversial topic that why Air India always have a placement in IGRUA. Is there a patch or is there any like you know any contract between IGRUA and Air India as such? So those were the things you know uh, that our come up with. But on and off, IGRUA has they have upper hand in the fact that placements are done from time to time. But it also it's not necessary, it's not something that IGRUA does every year, but it is done once in a while, and if you're lucky enough you can grab the opportunity. But current scenario, as I talked about, it's not that great right now. uh, so you might or you might not. So yeah.
Okay, so we'll take up the next question that is from Ali. Is there any other way to become a pilot without spending that much money?
I wish there was, but I don't think so. You have to spend that. I told you the money is a very big criteria. But also, I don't want to demotivate you guys on those levels, because the fact that, if you're spending that much of amount of money, and if you're taking that calculative risk at the right time, and if it works well, then you are going to, in no time, you're going to regain all the money back, because it's a paying job as well. When you get a job in airline, you earn crazy amount of money. So the recovery process is also not long. Like, you will recover whatever you have spent in a span of maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Like, but you will, once you get a job, and it's a kind of a job which offers you a lot of money. And if you are somebody who's young, and if you have started earning at a very early age, you will recover that money in no time, and you will have a very good life for yourself. So I mean, it's a calculative risk, basically taking the for example, when my sister went for flying, we never knew that this COVID situation would happen, and all of a sudden airline would close down, or the industry is going to be bad. So I mean, I feel in aviation, as much as your hard work is important, your luck plays a very, very important role. And to be at the right place in the right time is something that nobody has control over. And I hope and I wish all of you guys that, you guys be in such position where you are able to grab those opportunities. So for every person, every individual, the struggle is very different, and how you go about it is your through, like, it all depends on you and your luck. So all the best.
Okay, so Mohammed Ibrahim is asking that what is the minimum percentage in 12th?
Minimum percentage is criteria that see, honestly, all these flying schools are also wanting to make money out of it. Okay. So the thing is that the criteria is not that big. Like 80%, IGRO I think has 60% for that matter. So the margin is huge for you. Like, I think 50-60% everybody gets through, average students. So it's not like you have to have 90% to get into aviation. There's nothing like. But yes, like when you clear those DGC exams, the percentile you require for passing those exams is 70%, because once you are in aviation, you have to be best at what you're doing. So you have to have pretty good standards to clear those exams. So if you are somebody who's like a average student, and if you also get through a flying school also, so don't be very happy with the fact, because you have to clear DGC exams also. DGC exams will require lot of your effort and hard work and lot many studies, because their percentile is 70%. If you are even if you are 69, you are not passed, you are failed. So it's very common in aviation for people to fail their exams from time to time. Even for myself, I've done that, and I'm it's something very usual in aviation, because the standards are pretty much high, like 70%. It's not easy for everybody to get it right in the first go. So yeah, but percentage get into a flying school is not that 11, 12, you might have 50%, 60% also, but depending on the flying school that you are enrolling yourself, yeah, that totally depends on it.
Okay. So there's another question. Is there any other option where we can join fly school through government quota?
Sorry, can you come again?
Okay. So she's asking that, is there any other option where we can join fly school through government quota?
Government quota, I'm not really sure that whether you're talking about the scholarship part or see, I told you, like earlier, what happened while I was flying, I got a full scholarship from central government, that is 100% scholarship from central government. But unfortunately, they have closed down that scholarship for now. But I was also informed by one of the colleagues that, not colleague, but somebody who was working with IGROA. He also told me that there was some inspection and people came from ministry and then they from tribal affairs, and they will again start that scholarship. So I think you guys, if you have an opportunity, keep looking forward for it. I mean, what you can do is like, and there's this Ministry of Civil Aviation department where you can see that they keep up coming with scholarships and everything. So state government, I'm not really hopeful. JNK like when I was doing, there was no scholarship basically. Even if they had a very minimal scholarship, like for example 1 or 2 lakhs, but 1 or 2 lakhs will make nothing out of the career, because you know that how much money is involved in it.
Zoom ही करते थे.
Okay.
Zoom and Gareth, yes,
Nazir Hussain Mir, please turn off. Okay. So
Turn
the
off your
next is from Dorje, procedure to get into Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy.
So procedure to get into IGROA is like, first of all, you have to clear your written exams. Written exams are conducted, you have to go to Raebareli to give those exams. Or no, I gave it in Delhi also. Yeah, there are pretty much centers everywhere, I guess. IGROA comes up with, I think, Delhi, Mumbai, and UP, Lucknow, basically. All these are centers for IGROA written exams. Once you're cleared with written exam, they'll call you for interview. And interview is in the panel, lot many, like 5-6 people sit there. One of them are like, I think 2 airline pilot comes, mostly from Air India, and then there are ground school instructors who sit in that panel, and 1 person from, I think, HR department. So interview is pretty much like, it depends on your luck, and like it's more or less fun talk only. It wasn't that stressful for me at all. But the tricky part is the third part. Written also you will more or less clear only. Written, for example, I forgot to mention that what do you have to study for those entrance? Mostly those NDA syllabus, that NDA exam syllabus you get, where you have a portion where you solve some mathematical questions, then you solve some English, few questions of English, like so there be a paragraph, and there's a set where they ask you general knowledge questions. So yeah, these are the 3-4 like the pattern is pretty much like NDA, but it is not that difficult as NDA. The level is not as difficult as NDA. So yeah, I think written is pretty much you can clear. It's not that big deal. Just small bit of GK. And if you're good at mathematics, I think you will anyway clear it. And interview is again depending on your luck and what you studied and how much fluent and confident you are while speaking. That also makes a difference. And third part, which is the trickiest, is it's the skill test basically. So skill tests are different for different people. There are different companies also now. Airlines also started conducting skill tests. And yeah, fourth is psychometric test. Psychometric test in which there's no right or wrong answer, but they basically check your psyche, as a pilot, whether you will be decisive, or you'll be, like basically they check your mental status, and pretty much people fail it also. Since the time you guys might have, if you have learned about the German wing pilot crashing his aircraft into the hills, he was somebody was not mentally stable. So after that incident, all the airlines have come up with this notion of conducting the psychometric test, and yeah, everybody has to go through it, and there's pretty much no right or wrong answer to it, but you might clear it or you might not. And skill test में क्या होता है कि on computer there are like different sections. On one part there's some game going on another part there's audio, you're putting your headphones और कुछ बोल रहा होता है वहां से. थर्ड पार्ट में कोई गेम खेलना होता है आपको. फोर्थ पार्ट में कोई मैथमेटिकल क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करना. तो मल्टीटास्किंग बेसिकली आपको देखते हैं. यहाँ से आपने ये मैथमेटिकल क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर लिया, वहां पे वो गेम में भी आपको मतलब वो गेम आपने कर लिया, एंड देन आप वो आपसे क्वेश्चन भी पूछता रहता है कि वहां पे कौन सा कलर ब्लिंक हुआ था, या ये वर्ड एटीसी ने आपको कितने टाइम्स बोला था, कहाँ टर्न करने को बोला था, राइट टर्न करने को बोला था, लेफ्ट टर्न करने को बोला था. तो ऐसे ऐसे चीजें ना बेसिकली आपका ना वो देखते हैं कि आप कितनी मतलब अवेयर हो अपने आसपास के. बेसिकली यू आर how much aware and alert you are, and how much consciously you're dealing, because as a pilot you have to be alert all the time. You have to pick कहाँ पे कुछ गलत जा रहा है, या कहाँ पे मतलब you could have done something right way, या जो भी है. So basically all this as a multitasking. So कभी कभार आपकी किस्मत अच्छी होती है. Somebody like me who is not very good at my motor skills, I was initially not really good at my motor skills, so I used to miss lot many things. So वो चीजें हैं, like it could play as a very big role. So ये है, that's pretty much about the barriers that you have to clear to get into EGROA.
Okay, so I think you have answered most of the questions that are sent in the chat box. Now we will be taking the last question, that is from Jigmit NR. Anything how to get in Indian Air Force?
Okay, sir, Indian Air Force is completely different from civil aviation. Indian Air Force, basically what you can do is like people clear NDA after 12th, if I'm not wrong. So NDA mein to I think you have an option or not. I'm not really, see, this is not my field, so I don't have clear option. But yes, there's this exam called AFCAT. एयरफोर्स का एग्जाम होता है ये, एंड इट इज डन आफ्टर ग्रेजुएशन. एफकैट में क्या होता है, यू हैव टू क्लियर दैट एग्जाम, एंड यू हैव टू बी जो मिनिमम एलिजिबिलिटी होती है, आइदर यू हैव टू बी इंजीनियर और यू हैव टू बी अ बीएससी होल्डर. Like if you have to be a graduate in, or you should have done a BSc or something, and you have a certain percentile, like I think those are like 65 above, and I don't know, it changes time to time, but most of the naval officers or engineers, they get into it. And the process is pretty much same. They have a written exam, then they call you for interview, and it's how in NDA they have those there are I don't remember the word actually, but they call you for all these exams, and they call you to their centers and they interview you. They let you be in the campus for a while. That's like a pretty long process of scrutiny, like 4 or 5 days, where they let you play some games, they let you compete on different levels, and then they check your psyche by asking questions and all that. And then once you clear that, I think you get into Air Force. And now that girls have also an option to be a pilot. Earlier it was not there. So I mean, you guys are in lucky times, and that ways you don't have to even have that financial stress that I talked about. There are a lot many people from Air Force who, after getting retired from Air Force, join an airline, because by then, because aviation is something that you can fly till 65 years of age if you're medically fit. So you have a pretty long time to analyze or fix your doubts. So yeah, I think if you are somebody who was aspirant to go into Air Force, I think you should go ahead with it. And I'm sorry I'm not able to answer that well for you, because I clearly don't have much knowledge about how to get into Air Force. But yeah, AFCAT is something that is whatever I said was will make sense when you read about it.
Thank you. Thank you for all your queries. I hope all your answers has been answered. Now, if anyone has any further questions, you can drop in the relevant chat, WhatsApp chat group. Jigme.
Okay, so thank you. That's all from our side. Hope you all get some knowledge from this session. And I would like to thank our mentor for taking out their precious time from their busy schedule and helping us to know more about pilot as a career. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
You're most welcome, and anytime you guys need any help or any, and I'm really looking forward if you guys conduct these kind of workshops. And I'm really happy that all these people are interested and are looking forward to get into different fields. And at the end of the day, I would want to leave a message for all the people who are listening to me right now. I mean, be it any field you are in, be it in aviation, be it you're an engineer, a lot many times we limit ourselves of success of definition to the part that be an engineer or a doctor, then only you are successful. And now that IAS or KS thing is something that everybody kind of gives a takes a chance on it. I would want to tell you that there are so much and so many things in life to explore, I mean, that's not the definition of success that people keep on giving you. What I want to convey right now is no matter whichever field you are in, wherever you guys are, just give your 100% and enjoy the work that you're doing. And, you'll be very happy as a person and you will grow immensely. So, yeah, I mean, that's the key to it. So it's not that if you don't if tomorrow you don't become a pilot, you will not be successful or anything. It's just that there are circumstances and there are chances. You never know, tomorrow you be somebody who is a successful businessman and you have a lot of money. At that time you can do hobby flying, you can complete you can uh, just live your dreams whenever you want it. But the important part is that you have a good mental health throughout the process, and you just be doing good at what you are, and just keep exploring. And that's it. That's all I want to tell all my audience.
Thank you so
So,
much.
on behalf of
Okay.
Sun and all the participants, I would like to thank Ache Sameena Le for sparing your time from your busy schedule and giving such a detailed explanation about this career field. You have touched every aspects of it, and I hope this session was really motivating and insightful to all the participants. If anyone have any further questions, they can ask in the group, and I'm sure Achille will really help you out. Thank you so much, Achille.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
So are we leaving on that note?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, bye.